So today there is some function going about in the nearby area, so there is
Namaste
a bit
Lakshmi.
of namaste, bit of background noise, but I hope my voice is clear. Okay, we'll start now. Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavanam Dhyayet Sarvavignopashantaye Saraswati Namastobhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We'll start. So till the last time we had seen Brahma Purana. Today we start with a new Purana. So we saw a few facts with regards to Brahma Purana and also a few stories from the Brahma Purana. Today we start with Vishnu Purana. Now I'm not following any order, or rather there is no order which needs to be followed. You can follow any order of your choice. Like it's not now the 18 Puranas, there's no any certain order that has been told. Any order can be followed. Okay, we'll start today with Vishnu Purana. Now, Vishnu Purana, after Srimad Bhagavata Purana, it is one of the most popular Puranas, which, especially in Vaishnavism, that is in the Vaishnavite tradition, Vishnu Purana Parayana is done. So, Vishnu Purana is also chanted. And especially people following Vaishnavism or Vaishnavites, we can say. Now, of course, all of us we don't discriminate between Shaivism, Vaishnavism, but still, a few people it cannot be called discrimination, but as per their family tradition, they do follow a particular set of beliefs, so that it can be Vaishnavism or Shaivism. So, Vaishnavism, especially people who practice Vaishnavism, they read a lot of this Vishnu Purana like we read Srimad Bhagavata Purana and so on. Vishnu Purana in all contains 23,000 verses. So it is quite bigger than the Brahma Purana. Brahma Purana we saw about 10,000 verses. Vishnu Purana contains 23,000 verses, one of the most popular Puranas. Now, here in this Purana, as the name suggests, the stories revolve around Lord Vishnu mainly and his avatars, that is, and his different incarnations, mainly about Lord Krishna. So in the Vishnu Purana, we find a lot of stories with regards to Lord Krishna. And further, it consists of in all 6 parts. Vishnu Purana is divided into 6 parts and about 125 to 126 chapters. So it is divided into 6 parts and 125 to 26 chapters, you can consider roughly. Now, as we had seen, if you remember in the introductory sessions, I had told you the 5 features or the Panchalakshanani of Puranas: Sarga, Pratisarga, Vamsha, Manvantara, Vamshanucharitam. Vishnu Purana follows this order. It talks about Sargas, that is the cosmos, about the universe. Pratisarga, cosmology. Vamsha is different, the lineage of kings. Manvantara, different cycles and different legendary stories, that is Vamshanucharita. Now, it's when exactly the Vishnu Purana was composed, the exact date is not known, but roughly some scholars they believe that it was around 400 to 300 BC. So now all these dates, again I had told you, you take it with a pinch of salt, so it cannot be exact. So as per references are told, the composition date is not known exactly. Now why this happens is because most of our tradition is passed down orally. In India we don't have many things that are recorded, especially in the case of Vedic literature, Puranas and so on, because they have been passed from generation to generation through oral tradition. We don't find a lot of written material or written formal records. So and so date or during so and so period some text has been written. We don't find that much, but roughly you can consider about 400 to 300 BC. So this is a small introduction to the Vishnu Purana. Now we'll start looking at it in detail. Now, Vishnu Purana, as I told you, it is divided into 6 parts. The first part starts with the creation of the universe, how the universe was created and so on. Then the different Prajapatis that we have, we saw Daksha Prajapati one, we had seen the story of Daksha, if you remember. Then different ancestors. Then the second part gives information about kings, Now we are going to look at all these 6 parts in detail. Now for just on an introductory level I am telling you. The second part gives a list of kings who ruled all over Jambu Dvipa, that is the Indian subcontinent, and it gives details along with geography and a bit of astronomy. Now what is the meaning of astronomy? Now today when we have to say that, okay, say for example let us consider one state, Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is located in so and so latitude, so and so longitude, we say, right, in geography. So this method of latitude, longitude was there. But apart from that, when you say for example in Madhya Pradesh, if you have to go somewhere, we have signboards now. Everywhere you turn left, you reach here, you turn right, you go there. So within the state, to reach different cities, we have different signboards, maps. Today we have Google Maps and so on. But earlier when such systems were not developed, at that time a lot of astronomical details used to be considered. For example, if there is like this reference you get in the text of Varahamihira, it is he has written a text wherein he writes about rainwater harvesting, where can we find underground water, rainwater and so on. So he says if you find a snake at so and so distance from a particular tree, there that means chances are of rainwater. So like this natural things which are found, maybe you see a snake, from a certain distance you see a tree, then a certain distance from there you will see a particular flower. So such natural things if we see around, okay, there are chances of underground water being here. Or for example, I'll give you a very simple example, rainy season. When the first rains fall, it's not that immediately it pours, right, but we get the smell of the mud, so fresh smell. So then we know that it is raining outside, or now it is going to rain. Or we look at the clouds, when the clouds turn grey, we conclude that it's going to rain. So it is not 100%, but we make some conclusions looking at the surroundings around. So all these details have been mentioned in the second part of Vishnu Purana, or the second book of Vishnu Purana, which gives a list of kings that ruled over different parts of India along with a bit of such astronomical details. The third book talks about the Vedas and the caste system. Fourth book, it continues talking about different dynasties of kings. Fifth book talks entirely about the life of Lord Krishna. So mainly along with Srimad Bhagavatam, even Vishnu Purana also focuses a lot upon Lord Krishna. And the last book, it talks about the dissolution of the world, that is destruction of the world, and the future, how the world will be there in future after Pralaya. So if you see, it starts from creation, how the universe has been created. It talks about different rulers who have been there, talks about the Vedas. Then again it further continues talking about the next set of kings. Then little reference, because it is in praise of Vishnu, the name suggests Vishnu Purana, and gives some reference to Lord Krishna. And further, the last book concludes with the dissolution of the world and the future, how the world will be there in future after Pralaya. So these are a few details. Now we will start with verse number 1 onwards. Part number 1 onwards. Now in each of these parts there are a few number of chapters. Now I told you there are about 125 to 126 chapters in all, divided in these six parts. So let's look at the first part now. Now the Vishnu Purana, if you see, it is actually a conversation between sage Parashara, who had told this grand treatise first to sage Maitreya. So the conversation between sages Parashara and Maitreya is the Vishnu Purana. But further, just similar to the Srimad Bhagavata Purana, we have Suta who comes here. That's why those who are familiar with Bhagavatam, you know, many places it comes Suta Uvacha. So basically, Srimad Bhagavatam is a conversation between King Parikshit and Shukacharya. But Suta, he conveys this story. Like a third person, he speaks that, okay, this was a conversation that took place between Parikshit and Shuka. So like this, similarly in the Vishnu Purana also, though originally the Vishnu Purana is a dialogue or is a conversation between sages Parashara and Maitreya, Suta has learned this from Maitreya. So the next person, Parashara, Maitreya, Suta, and the text that we have today in the form of Vishnu Purana, that is a conversation, or that is what Maitreya has taught Suta. So one day Suta says, he tells Maitreya that Suta says, now I told you Suta like a third person, he conveys the conversation between Maitreya and Parashara. So So one fine day, this Maitreya, he goes and meets Parashara and he says that, oh Acharya, you have studied all the scriptures, you are so knowledgeable. So can you tell me the origin of this universe? You are so learned, you know about everything. So from where and how has this universe originated? So can you please tell me who made it, what was the reason why it was created, where was it there, and so on. I wish to hear about everything. I want to know about the sky, how the sky was made, how the ocean was there, how mountains, earth, sun, then what was the division of time, then religion, sages, kings, about everything I want to know. So Parashara says that you have reminded me of all this because my grandfather Vasishta, Parashara's grandfather was sage Vasishta. Vasishta used to continuously keep telling all these stories to Parashara. So that's how Parashara learned this. And when Maitreya now questions Parashara, Parashara remembers all this and says that I remember the days when my grandfather Vasishta had told me all these stories. I'll tell you the same thing. Now it is said that Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesha, that is Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, they are known as the creator, preserver and the destroyer. So like this the story starts. We start with Brahma, who talks about the creation or who is responsible for the creation part, and further it goes about to Vishnu, who is responsible for the maintenance, and then lastly to Shiva for the destruction part. So this is the base of Prakriti, he says, or this is the base of creation. Now just little he gives reference because he is going to talk about in detail in the entire Vishnu Purana. So just little reference he tells in the first chapter of part 1. And further during the times of Pralaya, now this at the time of creation he says that everything exists. What happens during the time of Pralaya, that Parashara tells here, he says that at this time nothing exists in this world, everything, it is as if Lord Vishnu has gobbled everything inside his stomach. Nothing exists, no natural resources, living beings, no one exists. There will be nothing, it will be just destruction. So this is Pralaya. And then when the universe again comes into existence, it is as if Vishnu brings back the universe from his womb, from his stomach, and then at the end, till the end of the Kalpa, before the next Pralaya comes in, again all the living beings, everything, they live about in this world and so on. So like this process starts. Further in chapter 2 of Vishnu Purana, part 1. Now we are not going to go very much in detail, otherwise then we'll have no time at all. So I'm just going to tell you the gist of all the chapters. Now part 1, chapter 2 talks about the birth of Brahma, which we have already seen in Brahma Purana. Brahma is born through the navel of Lord Vishnu. It is the same story here also, because though Vishnu Purana glorifies Brahma and Brahma Purana glorifies though Vishnu Purana glorifies Vishnu and Brahma Purana glorifies Brahma, if you see even in the Vishnu Purana also it is, in the Brahma Purana also it is mentioned that Brahma is born through the navel of Lord Vishnu. Similarly in the Vishnu Purana also we get the same reference that Brahma, his Lord, is born through the navel of Lord Vishnu. He was seated on a lotus and he comes out. So this is the reference that we find in most of the Puranas, and this is what we believe till date, that Brahma is born through the navel of Lord Vishnu. So thus in chapter 2, birth of Brahma, and we get some reference to Varaha Avatara. Varaha Avatara, incarnation of Lord Vishnu in the form of a boar who came and saved Mother Earth. So that is from Hiranyaksha, from the demon Hiranyaksha. He came and he saved Mother Earth. Further we see that, so in chapter 2 mainly this stories have been taught, the birth of Brahma and Varaha Avatara, that is Varaha incarnation. Further we see the division of earth. Now Brahma is born, so now how did he start division? So in chapter 3 we see that Parashara tells Maitreya, Brahma produced different kinds of human beings from his different organs. You get this reference in the Purusha Sutta. From his mouth Brahmins appeared. Mukha Brahmanaha. If you know the Purusha Sutta, you know. Kshatriyas appeared from his chest. Vaishyas appeared from his thighs. And from the feet appeared Shudras. Now why so? From the mouth Brahmins appeared because they had to do a lot of teaching. So they had to use their mouth. Kshatriyas appeared from their chest from the chest of Brahma, because physically they have to be very strong. When they have to bear something on their chest, different weapons, bows, arrows, everything, they have to be physically very strong. Therefore, Kshatriyas were born from the chest of Brahma. Vaishyas from the thighs. Now, Vaishyas are the business class people. So they have to put in a lot of efforts. Physically, again, they don't have to fight, but physical efforts, lot of physical strength. Maybe you go do business outside and so on. So physical strength is needed. They use a lot of their thighs for movement or for business mainly. Now, in those times, business was not like today we do some online business or so sitting at our houses. To sell something, we have to go out, right? Or the system, barter system existed then, wherein it means the exchange of goods. I'll give you what I have, in exchange you give me what you have. So for this, the business class needed to travel to far off places. Therefore, the Vaishyas were born from the thighs of Brahma. And lastly, because the Shudras, they used to do a lot of, they belong to the service sector, they were born from the feet of Brahma. So thus, the first thing that Brahma did is to create the physical body of human beings. Now, all of us, mentally, however strong we are, that is one thing, but physical strength is equally important. If physical health is not there, there is no use of how much money we have, how much intelligence I have, how much food I eat, nothing. So mental capabilities are all dependent on our physical health. Therefore, Brahma thought that first let me design the physical body of human beings properly, then the different things can be done. Then, after the physical body was done, next, lot of virtues, different qualities were added. Now, qualities, virtues as well as vices. Now, both was needed to be to lead a good life, to lead a balanced life. So, therefore, Brahma included all good qualities. That is why few of us we have good qualities, few of us we have bad qualities. If you see now, in general, all of us are composed of both good as well as bad qualities. But depending on the situation, now if something good is happening all around, you are happy, your good qualities are more. Let's say, for example, something happens which you don't like or it is disturbing, you get angry and so on. So your bad qualities or your vices are at your peak. So depending on the situation, we change ourselves. Therefore, a balance of both is needed. So the physical body was created, different qualities were added. Further now, we have already seen in the Brahma Purana how occupations like agriculture, animal husbandry and so on started. Now, physically a human being is ready, mentally he is capable to do different things. Now he has to earn a livelihood. So that is the third step. So Brahma has introduced that. Now further, just by introducing agriculture is not enough. What to grow? So there are different grains or different cereals were introduced. Barley, wheat, rice, sesame, millets, the different cereals that we eat today. So that was used. Further, all this produce was used during sacrifice to pour as oblations. When we pour something into the yajna, that's why even till date, if you see, when we do certain yajnas, we offer a lot of rice. Sometimes even wheat grains are kept. Depending on the yajna, homa that we do, sometimes they tell us to keep a few cereals, right? That is started from this tradition that has been followed in the Vishnu Purana, wherein people used to grow a lot of these cereals for their everyday life, and a few used to be offered in the different sacrifices. Further, different Prajapatis were born, and wherein now how are these Prajapatis born? For it, there is an interesting story. It is said that at one point creation got stopped. Therefore, like now from Manu it started, from Brahma the creation has started. He created different beings. The first person Manu we know. From Manu he married Shatarupa, and then that's how the human race has started. But now at one point it so happened that the creation stopped. Now even in our families also it might happen, right? Not there are, like for example, year after year, grandfather, grandchild, son, grandson and so on. But say for example, to the latest couple, to the latest married couple, if children are not born, then that family ends there, right? So then the so-called family now, if say for example in my family, to me if children are not born, that means my family ends at me, right? It stops at me. That's the end of one family. But now today of course we don't see such things much, because now it's okay, it's a very common thing that is accepted. But if one family, say for example one family a child is not born, that is fine. But there was a certain time in the world during this times that is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana, that in the entire world not much creation was taking place, not everyone was bearing children, so the world was at the verge of ending. Now people were getting old, but new creation was not being made. Now today of course it is the other way around. Now, even if you see, say, even 80 years or 100 years down the lane, we used to see that a lot of deaths used to take place then birth. There were many reasons to this because there was no proper development, no proper medicine. So, if even a small disease comes, like a fever or so, the person dies, right? So, because there was no proper cure. But today, if you see, the birth rate is more than the death rate. 10 deaths take place, 100 births are born. So, like 100 birth, 100 children are born. So, like this, today the birth rate has overtaken the death rate. Reason being, there are a lot of other facilities, other developments that have taken place. So, this was in those times wherein creation had slowed down during a certain particular time, and that is when the Lord thought that I should create some few sages from my thought. That's how we have the concept of Manasa Putraha. If you see, even Narada is said to be the Manasa Putra of Lord Brahma. Then only creating 9 sages is not enough. He had to also create wives for him. So 9 daughters, and all these 9 sages were married to these 9 girls. Now, it is said that all these sons who were born to Brahma, they were all born to Brahma. That's why they have Manasa Putraha. They all decided that we will not marry. They all decided that we will be ascetics, we will take up sannyasa. Now, with this thought, Brahma got very angry. He said that in order to increase creation only, I have made you 9 children born, plus at the same time I have produced 9 daughters also, so that the creation can continue. Now, if you take up sannyasa, then how will the creation continue? What is the use? He gets very angry. And at that time, Brahma comes in. It is said that at this time, not Brahma, Lord Shiva. Shiva comes in this place. Shiva, he appeared in a half man, half female form. That's why till date we celebrate Lord Shiva in the form of Ardhanarishwara. That is Ardhanarishwara form of Shiva. That reference you find in the Vishnu Purana part 1 chapter 3. Wherein many photos you see, right? Half Parvati, half Shiva. That is Ardhanarishwara Shiva. Shiva comes in the form of Ardhanarishwara to cool down Brahma's anger, and immediately after Shiva comes in, Rudra, that is Shiva, he separated his body, that is his own body that has been divided into half man, half woman. He separated that into 11 male parts and 11 female parts. That's how the different Prajapatis were born. And then Swayambhuva Manu also was born. And then he, along with his wife Shatarupa, Brahma told him that you don't take up sannyasa, you please continue with creation. And that's how the creation started. Priyavrata, Uttanapada were born. 2 daughters were born, Prasuti, Akuti. Uttanapada, we know, he has become famous. Anyone knows the son of Uttanapada? Dhruva. We had seen in the Brahma Purana, Uttanapada, Priyavrata, Uttanapada's son was Dhruva. So, and 2 daughters were also born, Prasuti, Akuti, and so on. These 2 daughters were married to Daksha. That is Daksha Prajapati's wife was Prasuti. Further, they gave birth to sons and so on, and that's how the creation started. Further, in chapter number 5, we see the creation of Rudras. Now, we know till date we chant Rudram 11 times, so 11 Rudras were needed. Now, it is said that in the beginning, when now Brahma was given the job of creation. So, it was not like he just created one man, he created one woman, and he just left it there. Because initially he had thought that, okay, I create one man, one woman, they will continue with the creation. But as we saw in the previous chapter, that there was a time when the creation stopped. Now, just because a couple are married, a man and woman are married, there is no guarantee that children will be born to them, right? We see so many childless couples. So then Brahma thought that, no, if creation has to grow, I cannot just wait, I cannot just be dependent on this one couple, I have to find out new ways. So Brahma, he thought that just creating people is not enough. They should be good too, they should be useful too. They should not be a burden to the earth. Otherwise, what is the use of creating? Now, I have 100 sons, but not even one son looks at me. What is the use? Instead, I have one son who takes care of me properly. This is what is needed, right? So, then Brahma, he had a thought in his mind saying that he wanted a son who was just like him. So, he had all the qualities just like Brahma. And when he was just thinking so, a baby boy who was a bit bluish in color, he appeared on his lap. He appeared on Brahma's lap. Now, Brahma used to call this boy with different names. Rudra, Bhava, Shiva, Ishana, Pashupati, Bhima, Ugra, Mahadeva, Dikshita, and so on. These were the 11 different names of 11 Rudras. So that's how Rudra. Today also we chant Shri Rudram 11 times. So that's how Rudra, different 11 forms of Shiva were created. Then further, Brahma also fixed Surya, that is the sun god, water, earth, air, fire, sky, that is the Panchabhuta, 5 elements. He also gave them their different places. Since then, all these things they try to worship Lord Shiva. That is why if you see in the Sri Rudram also many places we have worship that is done to Surya, water, and so on. It is seen that they are worshipping Lord Shiva. Further, 11 idols of Shiva who are there, Bhava, Rudra, Shiva, I told you. They need wives also. Their wives were called as Swaha, Shiva, Apara, Usha, Suvarchala, Vikeshi, and so on. Like this, there are different names. Then they had few sons also. Who are these sons? The Navagrahas, Shanaishtara, Skanda. Skanda, we know Lord Kartikeya, Sanatana, Buddha, and so on. Buddha, the son of the moon god, S-O-N, son of the moon god is Buddha. So all this, like this, the creation started. So few examples have been mentioned in chapter 5, part 1 of Vishnu Purana to show that that's how creation continued. Further, in this chapter we also get some reference that Sati, goddess Sati, who was burnt or who died because of the disrespect that Shiva, that Daksha showed towards Shiva, Sati had it was almost like suicide. So it is said that in her next birth she was born as Parvati. She also got married to Lord Shiva. And Khyati, there was a sage called Bhrigu, his wife was Khyati. They gave birth to a daughter called Lakshmi, which is revered to goddess Mahalakshmi, who married Lord Vishnu. Now here Maitreya, he has a doubt. He says that we have heard that goddess Mahalakshmi has come out of the ocean, right? Kshira Sagara. The goddess of the daughter of the ocean god is revered to be Mahalakshmi. Then why here we have a reference saying that the son of sage Bhrigu is also Mahalakshmi? How is it possible? Now Parashara, he says that, I'll tell you a story behind this. Now, the famous sage whom we have in Durvasa, now Durvasa is said to be not exactly an Amsha Avatara, but a part Avatara. You can say like a side part or so of Lord Shiva. That is why he gets angry very easily. Shiva also, we know, when his third eye opens, he gets angry. So this Durvasa is said to be short-tempered because he is considered to be Amsha Avatara, you can say a slight partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. So one day it so happens that Durvasa was just wandering when he saw an extremely divine, you can say a very beautiful woman, and she was wearing a garland of different flowers and so on. Now the sage, he liked that garland very much. She went to the lady and told her that you please give me this garland, I have liked it very much. She gave the garland. Now the sage, he put the garland on his head. Now if you see sages, sannyasis, they should not wear the garland around their neck. This is what is like, of course some people do that, but as per sannyasa, like when we honor someone or so, or during wedding ceremonies we put the garland, right? So sannyasis should abstain themselves from doing such things. So if you give them some garland, usually the different Shankaracharyas and all, if you see, they will accept it, they will just touch it, or maybe they'll just keep it in their hand. So Durvasa, what he did is, he took this garland and he kept it on his head, like a hair garment, he put it on his head. And he was moving about here and there. At that time, he saw Indra was going about along with his Airavata, sitting on his elephant Airavata. Now sage Durvasa said that Durvasa was happy looking at Indra. He removed the garland and put it on the neck of Airavata, on the neck of Indra. Indra removed it, put it on the neck of Airavata. Now Airavata was an elephant. He does not know that it's a garland, it has been put to honor me and so on. It removes the garland from its neck and it stamps it with its feet. Durvasa gets very angry and he says that, he curses Indra saying that you will lose all your luster, splendor, all your kingly qualities that you are having, royal qualities, everything, all the charm you will lose from today. Now Durvasa, as usual, Indra fell at the feet of Durvasa. Durvasa said, forgiveness, I don't believe in the concept of forgiveness at all. You can just repent, saying that just feel sorry for yourself and spend the rest of your life. But now when Indra is a king of gods, if he himself has lost his charm and so on, the entire Swarga, even the sages, everyone was being affected. If the king, if the leader is not good, all his subordinates also are affected. So now everyone went and prayed, say now what to do and so on. So at that time, wherever no virtues are there, or wherever there is no proper prosperity, like for example, I'll tell you, you see in some houses, even during evening time or so, they will not on the lights, right? Like it is a practice that they have, or they'll always keep their doors, windows, everything shut. They'll not talk to anyone, or the house itself will be very gloomy. In such houses, there is no place for Goddess Mahalakshmi. If you see, especially during the evening times, we must keep our doors open. This is a belief. You light a lamp outside your house and keep the doors open. But today, of course, we don't keep the doors open. Some thief will come in and so on. But we also have something called as a safety door. So you can keep at least your inside door open and the safety door shut. But then still we have many problems. Mosquitoes come in. Like this, we have many reasons that come in. The thing that I'm telling is, wherever no good things are done, wherever only fights are taking place, or the place is not kept clean, things are gloomy, or people don't speak to each other, they're just in their own way of life, everything is just shut, there is no place for Goddess Mahalakshmi. So here also the same thing is being done. Indra has lost his charm, so now people have no control. There is no king, nobody to tell us anything, they're just going about here and there, nothing is being followed, no rituals, nothing. Goddess Mahalakshmi also, she also goes away, there is no prosperity at all. And at that time she goes inside the sea and she stays. And that's how she has become the daughter of the ocean god. This is what happened. Now all the gods, they knew that Goddess Mahalakshmi is inside the sea. They have lost all their charm, prosperity, everything. They go and pray to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu says that don't worry, I will help you. You start churning the ocean, different herbs, everything will come out. Goddess Mahalakshmi will also come out, and then you can stay with her. So following this advice of Lord Vishnu, the gods and the demons, we know the Samudra Manthana story. So that's when different things came out, like Kamadhenu, the wish fulfilling cow. Then Varuni came out. Kalpavriksha, Varuni was a damsel, Apsara. Kalpavriksha, the wishful tree, came out. Then the moon came, that Shiva took, he kept on his forehead. Then a lot of poison came that Shiva drank, hala hala. Then Dhanvantari himself, he came at the end carrying a pot of nectar, Amrita. So during this time, Goddess Mahalakshmi, she appeared once again from the sea, holding lotuses in her hand. And all the sages prayed to her. And at this time, Goddess Mahalakshmi took her seat in the heart of Lord Vishnu. Vakshastale Vasati Lakshmi, we say. That is, even till date, Goddess Mahalakshmi stays in the chest of Lord Vishnu. So that's when originally she was born to Bhrigu and Khyati. But because she took a place in the ocean, that's where it is said that Goddess Mahalakshmi is the daughter of the ocean god and she has come from the ocean. So Maitreya's question that was there to Parashara, saying that, is Goddess Mahalakshmi the daughter of Bhrigu, or is she the daughter of ocean? Biologically, or you can say originally, she was born to Bhrigu. Later, because she went inside the ocean when Indra and the entire Swarga lost its charm, she stayed inside the ocean. And then after the Samudra Manthana, when the gods asked for forgiveness to bring Goddess Mahalakshmi back, that's when she comes out of the ocean. So this has been two. Further, again, next chapter, chapter 6, part 1, we have the Dhruva Charitam. We have already seen Dhruva Charitam has been mentioned in the Brahma Purana as well as in the Vishnu Purana. It is also mentioned in many Puranas, also in the Srimad Bhagavata Purana. So Dhruva's story comes in. Further, chapter 6 and 7 talks about Dhruva. Dhruva's tapasya is mainly talked about in chapter 7. Chapter 8 talks about King Veda and Prithu. We know Veda was a very bad king. Prithu Charitam, we saw that's how earth became prosperous. Again, this Charitam has come in the Brahma Purana. It is a repetition in the Vishnu Purana. Further, we see the birth of Prachetas that are there. Now, what are Prachetas? We look at the story of Prachetas. Now, King Prithu, after this now Veda and Prithu story we have seen in the Brahma Purana. Next is the King Prithu. What happens to his dynasty is, Prithu had two sons. His name was Antardana and Vadi. Antardana and Vadi. Now they were very religious minded and very good people. And Prachina Barhi, he was the son You can say he was the great grandson of Prithu. He was the grandson of this Antarda. And like this, he used to do a lot of one second. Huh. He used to do a lot of homa, sacrifices, and so on. So basically, the family was doing all kinds of good things. Now, here Prachina Barhi, there was this king who was born in the lineage of this Prithu. And Prachina Barhi, he married the daughter of Samudra god, the daughters of the sea. And they bore about 10 sons, and they were called Prachetas. But it so happened that this Prachetas, all the 10 Prachetas, they observed serious penance. So they were interested in just doing tapasya. So for about 10,000 years under the sea, and so they observed tapasya. Now Maitreya here has a question to Parashara. Why did they do tapasya? Right? They were kings, they were good sons, they were princes born in a royal kingdom. They could have stayed so happily, they could have enjoyed all the pleasures. Then why did they go inside the sea and do tapasya? What was the reason for that? So for this, Parashara answers that King Prachina Barhi, he tells all his 10 sons that you have been born now, but now go in a married way, beget children, so that our lineage can grow continuously. Prachetas, all the 10 Prachetas, they agree. But then they ask that how should we do that? Or what should we do so that children will be born to us, and so on. So this was a question that all of them had. King Prachina Barhi said that if you don't know this, you worship Lord Vishnu. He is a person who will help you to achieve all your desired wishes and so on. So that is when all the 10 Prachetas, they observed penance for 10,000 years. And at the end of their penance, Lord Vishnu appears before them. And by blessing the Prachetas, they asked the boon that their father had told them, that you have to go about the family way so that our lineage will increase. Lord Vishnu blesses them, and that's how all the Prachetas come out and they start leading a new life. Now, why was this needed? Or just to produce, or just for the process of reproduction, why should the Prachetas do tapasya for 10,000 years? This is a question that will come to all our minds. The reason being, the time from when the Prachetas, the 10 sons of Prachina Barhi, were born, they were like sannyasis. They did not know anything about the material life at all. And Prachina Barhi saw this, that all his 10 sons, they don't know anything regarding the family way, married life and so on. So me just telling them randomly that okay, you go and do this, go and marry someone, they will not know how to lead. So therefore, and this was like a story also to show the devotion to Lord Vishnu, because it is Vishnu Purana, it has to glorify that tapas has to be done to Lord Vishnu, and then whatever you ask, all your desires will be fulfilled. So there can be two reasons to this. So that is why all the 10 Prachetas, they do tapasya for 10,000 years, and that's how they ask the desire, they ask the boon that their father tells them. And then they lead. And further they are born and they go about the family life. Now further, all the Prachetas, they get married and the different Prajapatis are born out of them. The most famous Prajapati is Daksha Prajapati. Further, we see that now in chapter 10 part 1, you have in detail reference of Daksha Prajapatis and different Prajapatis. Even Hiranyakashipu, some part of reference to Hiranyakashipu is done. Chapter 11 talks about Prahlada, story of Prahlada and Narsimha Avatara. So chapter 2, if you see, part 1 Vishnu Purana talks about Varaha Avatara, and chapter 11 part 1 talks about Narsimha Avatara and also the story of Prahlada. Chapter 12 continues Hiranyakashipu's different ways or different attempts to kill Prahlada, that is seen. Further, chapter 13, just as we have Prahlada Stuti in Srimad Bhagavatam, very very popular Prahlada Stuti which is chanted by people till date, even in chapter 13 of Vishnu Purana, you have Prahlada Stuti. And here, Prahlada, he describes the virtues, describes the good qualities of the Lord. And further, he also writes a shloka, writes a stuti wherein it shows that how the Sudarshana Chakra comes to save Prahlada from the dangers that Hiranyakashipu had put on him. So, when we say Prahlada Stuti, now you know that it is not limited only to Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a popular Prahlada Stuti, but even in the Vishnu Purana also we have Prahlada Stuti that is mentioned. That is why not only for Prahlada Stuti, even say for example Gita Mahatmya. We have so many Gita Mahatmas. One is from the Padma Purana, that is the most popular one. One is from the Varaha Purana. So like this, there are 2 or 3 Gita Mahatmyas. Similarly here also, when we say Prahlada Stuti, it can be 2 or 3 Prahlada Stutis. Further, finally, Lord Narasimha appears in front of Prahlada and saves him Hiranyakashipu's skin. Now, in the last parts, in the concluding parts of part 1 of Vishnu Purana, we see that after Prahlada is given all his boons, is saved, Hiranyakashipu dies. Prahlada had a son Virochana, and Virochana in turn he had a son called Bali. Bali Maharaja, we know from the fame of Vamana Avatara. So Prahlada's son was Mahabali. Now Kashyapa. So this little bit story of not exactly Vamana Avatara, but little reference of Bali is given in the chapter 15, part 1, Vishnu Purana. Then the lines of Kashyapa, sage Kashyapa, that has been mentioned. Kashyapa had different wives, and many children were born out of them. And that's how Kashyapa had a wife called Tamra. Now, a few interesting aspects I'll tell you. Tamra, her name was Tamra, and she gave birth to 6 daughters. Now, these 6 daughters, Shuki, the first name was Shuki, she gave birth to birds like parrots. So, today we see parrots flying about here and there. So, how have they existed? From Kashyapa's daughter Shuki, who gave birth to parrots. That's why till date it is Shuka. You might find this a bit, you can say, like a fantasy, or like how can a human being give birth to parrots? But it is said that all the creation has started from Brahma. So if God has created everything, trees and so on. So even Kashyapa also was given the task of creation by Brahma. So therefore he begetted daughters in such a way that they can give birth to a few species of animals. Like we saw in the Brahma Purana, we had a story, right? Wherein the person, though he had all human qualities, his physical form was of a snake. So like this here also, Shuki, this daughter of Kashyapa, gave birth to birds like parrots, owls, crows and so on. So different kinds of birds. Sheni, Shayanam we say in Sanskrit, she gave birth to this concept of sleep. So from the time when Sheni was born, all of us were sleeping. Then Bhasi, Bhasi or Bhaasi, Bhasi, she produced light. So mainly the different components that we see around today in life, things that we see around, all that also has been created. Then Gridrika, she gave birth to vultures. That's why Gridraha, we say Gridraha, vultures. Gridrika. Further, Suchi, there was a daughter Suchi. She made aquatic birds. So birds that stay in water like swan and so on. That's Suchi. Sugrivi, this category of, you can say this daughter of Kashyapa, she gave birth to animals like horses, camels, so all kinds of domestic animals. So like this different creation has taken place. And Vinata, she was also one of the wives of Kashyapa, who gave birth to Garuda and Aruna. That's why Garuda, king of birds, has another name, Vainateya, daughter of Vinata, Vainateya. Then Surasa, she gave birth to millions of snakes. Kadru, she gave birth to certain snakes such as Sheshanaga, Vasuki and so on, who have been taken by Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu himself. Further, now these were all different wives of Kashyapa. Then Surabhi, she gave birth to cows and buffaloes. That's why we have the famous cow Surabhi. So like this different creations have been taken place.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Hello? I had a doubt. So these Sheni, Bhasi, Grudrika and all, they're wives of Kashyapa.
No, Kashyapa's daughters are those 6. Shuki, Sheni, Bhasi, Sugrivi, Suchi, Gridrika. And from Vinata onwards, they are the wives of Kashyapa. So 6 daughters were there and some are wives. Okay? Yeah. Now it is said that then we have Marut. Marut is wind. 12 Maruts we have. How are these Maruts born? We saw Rudra, 12 Adityas, 10 Maruts. Sorry, how many Maruts are there? 10. So there's 10 Maruts, they are born. So how it has been born? It is said that Indra once came to know that Diti, the mother of Daityas, Rakshasas, Aditi, the mother of gods. Both were Kashyapa's wives. So Diti once, it is said that it was told to Indra that the son who will be born to Diti will be responsible even for killing you. So he might cause some harm to you. Now Indra is a person, we know that who's always, you can say, running about here and there. He wants to save himself. So now when someone comes and tells that this person, like in the case of Kamsa, when Devaki's eighth womb was there, eighth child of Devaki is going to kill you. From that day onwards, Kamsa could not sleep. So similarly here also, Indra could not sleep from that day. He saw all means to kill the son of Diti inside her womb itself. So what he did was, he came and he started serving Diti. So Diti was very happy. She was like a stepmother, you can say a second mother of Indra, Aditi, her sisters, or you can say co-wives. So then she felt that, like, my son only Indra is coming and serving me. And it is said that before the completion of the gestation, that is before the labor period, it is said that she had, now Indra was very smart. He had put a condition that anywhere, if she, now Diti was told that, now this was a plan that was being done by Indra. Diti was told that you, though you are in your labor days and so on, you should not violate any rules that are followed, like be it for cleanliness, be it anything that you do in your everyday activities, nothing should be unfollowed, or there should be no concession that you get, no, my child is going to be born, so therefore I have not followed this and so on. Nothing should be violated by you. If you do that, then in case somewhere you make a mistake, then the son that will be born to you, anything can happen to it, he might also die. Now this purposely Indra had done because he did not want to incur the sin by killing Diti's son. If you kill, that to Kashyapa's son is a Brahmana Hatya. Killing someone is a sin, right? So Indra did not want to incur that, but at the same time he wanted to kill Diti's son because the child is going to cause him danger. So now Indra was waiting at every step where Diti will commit something wrong or do something wrong in her everyday activities. But in whatever she did, she was a perfectionist. She did everything properly. But once it so happened that she forgot to wash her feet after using the washroom. This has been mentioned in the Vishnu Purana. And from that day onwards, most of us we do it, but still, Kali Purusha stays in 2-3 places. Where does Kali stay? Kali stays in all our money, wealth, gold and so on. That's why we keep attracted towards it. Kali Purusha stays in all our vices, bad qualities, and at the same time, Kali Purusha also stays at the back of our feet if we don't wash it after using the washroom, or if we don't wash it after having meals. We have to always keep our feet clean. One is for cleanliness purpose. This is a very logical reason. Second is because now feet is the only part of the body which touches the ground continuously, right? How much ever you wash your feet, now every half an hour also if you wash your feet, you will see that some of the other dirt comes out, because it is always touching the ground. Other parts of the body, they don't get dirty. You take bath only once a day. But hands and feet, you have to keep washing them continuously, because they get dirty fast. So here, and that too after using the washroom specially, or after having food and so on, we must wash our feet. So Diti forgot to do this. Immediately Indra was waiting for this moment. He carries a mace. He enters Diti's womb through his yoga maya, and with his mace, the fetus that was there inside the womb of Diti, it started crying. Now the fetus that he broke it into 7 pieces. But somehow the child survived. Now these 7 pieces, Indra then what, he did not know what to do. Again he started breaking it. Each of the 7 pieces he broke into 7 more pieces. 7 into 7, 49. And he consoled them, said, don't cry, otherwise everyone will know that. But now the 49 pieces of Diti's fetus, they listened to Indra, and they later came down to be known as Marudganas. Now, initially there were only 7. Some references have 10, but today we consider 49, because all the 7 pieces of the fetus was divided further. Each of the piece was broken into 7 more pieces. 7 into 7, 49. So we have 49 Marudganas now. So these are like different assistants, or you can say attendants, Rudras, Adityas, Marudganas and so on, that are responsible for creation. Now further, in the chapter 16, part 1 Vishnu Purana, Brahma realizes that now the universe has been created. Different things have been created now, but there should be some arrangement, right? So, and there should be a leader also for everything. Otherwise, if there is no leader, then everything will undergo destruction. So Prithu was told the king of the entire earth. The moon god was made the ruler of different nakshatras, stars, planets, Brahmins, vegetation and so on. Kubera was again the ruler of kings. Varuna was a ruler of water bodies. Vishnu was the ruler of Adityas. Aditya Anamaham Vishnu. This reference you get chapter 16, part 1 Vishnu Purana is similar to the verses of chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, wherein Aditya Namaham Vishnu and so on. The verses that they come in each category, the superior, whoever is superior is the form of Lord Vishnu. The same is mentioned here also. Garuda, ruler of birds. Indra, king of gods. Airavata, ruler of elephants. Prahlada, ruler of demons. Agni, ruler of Vasus. Daksha, ruler of Prajapatis. Vrishabha, ruler of cows. Uchchaishrava, ruler of horses. Lion, king of beasts. Sheshanaga, ruler of snakes. Himalaya, king of mountains. Kapilacharya, again an incarnation of Vishnu. He was the leader of sages. Tiger became the king of animals, those who have long nails and long teeth. Lion in general is the king of the jungle, but national animal is tiger. Why so? Because it has nails and long teeth. This is one of the reasons that our country's national animal is the tiger. Though the lion is revered to be the king of forests, why the tiger has been selected, this is one reason. Reference comes in the Vishnu Purana. Then these are all with the living creation, human beings. What about other creatures? Reptiles, birds and so on, everything was being created by Brahma. Then on all the different directions, northwest, east, south, up, down, northeast, northwest and so on, Brahma appointed Dikpalas, guardians of the earth. Then, so this is how we see that the process of creation continued. Brahma told Lord Vishnu himself, or Lord Srihari, you call him, that you will be the person who rules over, who is responsible for the maintenance. I have done the creation part, now you have to be responsible for all the maintenance. So with this, the part 1 of Vishnu Purana ends, wherein we see that Brahma, he starts with creation, and then just by creating he does not stop there. Further he has to move on. He arranges everything in a proper order. For each of the categories he gives them a leader to. So mainly part 1 talks about creation. Now part 2 onwards we see, I told you, just we'll start part 2, we have 10 minutes more. Now part 2 of Vishnu Purana, as I told you, talks about the description of Priyavrata, the different kings. So amongst them one was Priyavrata. Now here if you see these lineages that we see in part 2 and part 4, you will not have a lot of stories as such. It is just after this king, this king, this king, this king. So you will have a lot of names that are there. To some extent I'll tell you the names. Now we will not be able to remember all the names. Of course you can listen to the recordings, but it is not any story as such. Just to get some information about different lineages, the names have been mentioned. Now Maitreya here in part 2, he questions that. He questions Parashara saying that you tell me the lineage of Priyavrata, who was a son of Manu. You told me Manu and Manu Shatarupa, they had two sons, Priyavrata, Uttanapada. Uttanapada, I know Dhruva and his lineage. What about Priyamvrata? Priyamvrata, the first son of Manu. Now Priyavrata, Parashara says, Priyavrata was married to the daughter of Kardama, sage Kardama. They had two daughters and 10 sons. Now, in this, 3 of their sons, they were not interested in material life. They went about the sannyasi. The remaining 7 sons, they were given the rule of 7 different parts of the earth. So Priyavrata ruled over the entire earth. He divided the earth into 7 parts and he gave. Priyavrata then finally, after all his duties were done, he went to sannyasashrama. That is mainly retirement. Now so this was the story of Priyavrata. With this, Priyavrata's lineage ends here. Next, there comes some story about 8 Vasus. We have Ashtavasus. We saw the Marudganas, we saw the Rudras, the Adityas, now Vasus. Now among the 8 Vasus that were there, one was Hima. His name was Hima, H-I-M-A, Hima. They had a son Rishabha. His wife was Meru Devi. Meru Devi and Hima together gave birth to a son Rishabha. Rishabha had 100 sons. Amongst them, eldest was Bharata. Bharata, he again, though the kingdom was transferred to him after Rishabha, Bharata, he went to the forest for penance. And that's how. Now this Bharata is the same one who, after whom our country is named as Bharata. So the lineage, Hima, his wife Meru Devi, their son Rishabha, their son Bharata. That's how Bharata, the name is Bharatavarsha. Now there Bharata, he went to the forest to do penance, and the place where he did penance, it stretched from the Himalayas till the Indian Ocean. That's how we have the Bharatavarsha. You have a Subhashitam for this. Himalayam samarabhya yavat Indu sarovaram tam deva nirmitam desham Hindustanam prachakshate or Bharatavarsham prachakshate. This is the same. That's how our country was named India. So chapter 1, part 2 Vishnu Purana, how our country has been named as Bharata, that reference comes in. Further, Bharatavarsha was divided into 9 parts. Then the geographical location. Chapter 2 talks about the geography of the entire earth in general. Earth has 7 islands. Ours is Jambu. Jambu, Plaksha, Shalmani, Kusha, Krauncha, Shakha, Pushkara. You can listen to the recording if you want to note it later. They are all surrounded by different oceans. Now, Jambu Dvipa is surrounded by saline water, that is salt water. Now we know on Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, water is salty. In the Plaksha, the water is sugarcane juice. The water in the ocean is not normal water, it is sugarcane juice. In the third island, Shalmani, the ocean is full of wine. In the fourth island, Kusha, the ocean is full of ghee. In Krauncha, the ocean is milk ocean, Kshira Sagar. In Shakha, it is sweet water, and so on. So like this, Jambu Dvipa is at the center, surrounded by salt water. We are going to look at mainly Jambu Dvipa because our country, Bharatavarsha, is related to that. In the Purana, the chapter 2 of part 2 also, the same thing is mentioned. Then in the center of Jambu Dvipa is the Sumeru mountains. Sumeru are nothing but the Himalayas. Height of the Himalayas has been mentioned here. 84,000 yojanas. So all the references, if you see, we study modern geography and feel that geography is advanced. Our Puranas are more advanced than that. In fact, we can see that Indian geography is inspired through Vishnu Purana. Then towards the south, we have other mountains, Hemkund, Nishada mountains, Himavan mountains. Even today, if you take up the Chardham Yatra, you can come across all these mountains. Then towards the south, you have the first land that starts in. After the mountains, we have the land mass. Further, we come down. Different mountains are mentioned here. Mandrachana mountain, Gandhamadana mountain. Gandhamadana mountain, anyone knows what is a Gandhamadana mountain? You have heard this name? Gandhamadana? No? You got reference in the Sundarakanda. Hanuman brings a Sanjeevani to Lakshmana from this mountain of Gandhamadana. So the Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, you get this reference again. Even in the Sundarakanda you have this reference, wherein from the Gandhamadana Parvata, we had seen the story, if you remember, Vibhishana and his son. I told you Gandhamadana story. Gandhamadana is the name of the mountain from where Hanuman had bought the herbs, distant there in the north part of the Himalayas, if you go there. So all that reference is mentioned there. Further, the trees that have been there. Now if you see, in the northern side where there are snowy, I think coniferous forest, something we call, right? So there we don't have trees having lot of leaves. It will be always dry. If you look at the Himalayan regions or in the snowy regions, the trees will always be dry. So such dry trees names are mentioned. But mainly in the Jambu Dvipa, we have big trees like Peepal, Banyan, Kadamba, Jamun tree and so on. Now because there were a lot of Jamun trees here or Jambu trees here, the island came to be known as Jambu Dvipa. And that's how the river Jambu keeps flowing here. Now this Jambu and the Jamun that we eat today, some references say that it is one and the same. Some references say that it's a bit different. Now you can consider the Jamun. The Jamun is a purple color Jamun which most of us eat. But there is also something which is a light green color Jamun which looks like a fig sort of a thing. So it is also a type of Jambu, that is mainly Jambu. So that reference is given in the Puranas, not the Jamun that we eat. People say it is one and the same. Today we don't find these fruits much, but there are two categories of Jamun. The Jamun or the Jambu, which is in the form of a fig-like shape, light green color, that is Jambu. So the history, the geography has to continue more. Today time is up. We will stop here. In the next session we will continue. ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So in the last session we had started with Vishnu Purana. We saw that Vishnu Purana is divided into 6 parts, and we had finished seeing entire part 1 and we had just started with part 2. We will continue from there. So in part 2, if you remember, it mainly talks about different dynasties, different lineages of kings, and further it also starts talking about the geography of our country, that is India, Jambudvipa, named after the king Bharata. So we'll continue looking at that. Yesterday we saw a little bit with regards to Jambudvipa and the mountains surrounding the northern part of India today, that is the Himalayas. Now further we see that how is Bharata, how is our country divided further. Now mainly what exactly is Bharata is the mass that is there between, the land mass that is there between the mountain Himalayas and the Indian Ocean in the south. That is Bharatavarsha. Now you note one thing, that Bharata or India, today's geographical India and the India before independence, before partition and so on, was different, right? We had some parts of Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh also included into India, Bhutan, Nepal and so on. Today though these places have become as separate countries, you see the place between the Himalayas, that is from the northernmost part of India till the southernmost part of India, Indian Ocean has never undergone any changes. This from north to south, the landmass is the same. Changes that have been made is in the east-west direction only. So the point why I am telling you this is, the predictions or the mention that has been made in the Puranas is true till date, because Bharata, it was not said that between the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. They didn't say that, or between so and so, maybe from Afghanistan till Bangladesh, this is India. They didn't make such statements. They just said Himalayam samarabhya yavat Indu sarovaram. Hindu. Now I think we had the recent controversy, right? What exactly is Hindu, or the controversy between why Hindus and Indus. So basically people who live, it was actually Hindu, derived from the moon god, another name for it, the moon god. And then it became Sindhu because we had this river Sindhu flowing in, which is named as Indus today. So people who live on the other side of the Sindhu river, the Indus river, they are called as Sindhus or Sindhavasi Janaha. In many Sanskrit literature texts you get this reference for Indians, Sindhavasi Janaha or Sindhu Janaha. But the Britishers came in, foreigners came in, they could not pronounce Sindhu, they made it as Hindu. And then of course we have so many controversies coming in. So coming back to our topic, the Puranas mainly, they have told that the landmass between the Himalayas and the Indian Ocean is Bharatavarsha, and at least till date there have been no changes on this. Some parts of India have been excluded, some has been added, there has been a lot of division, partition done, but the landmass that which has remained same till date is the area between the Himalayas and the Indian Ocean. Now 7 major mountains are there in entire India: Mahendra Parvata, Malaya, Sahaya, Shuktiman, Riksha, Vindhya and Pariyatra. Now the most famous is the Vindhya mountains we know, maybe the Sahyadris we know, Satputas we know, Himalayas we know. There are 6 more which are not that common, but in Bharatavarsha all these mountains are also located. Now there are many more divisions also that have been made. I'll just name a few. Now today we have a lot of states, about 29 states are there. In those times there was no division into states. The entire Indian subcontinent was divided into different islands, different mountains, different divisions. Like even 70 years before independence, we didn't have separate states, right? We had the Bombay presidency, we had the Madras presidency and so on. So there many states used to come under that, many cities used to come under a province, right? So similarly, so you see as times change, the division also changes. Today we have everything in the form of states. Few years back we had in the form of provinces. Few years back we had in the form of royal kingdoms, for example the Mysore palace and so on, which is there even till date. So like this division that has been told in the Vishnu Purana is quite before all this, and therefore in those times Bharatavarsha was divided into 9 divisions, it is said. Indradvipa, Tamraparana, you can consider Tamraparani river that flows in South India, the area near that river. Gamastima, Nagadvipa, Saumya, Gandharva, Varuna, Yahadvipa, Kaseru. I am telling the names quickly so that each and everything you need not note it down, you can listen to the recordings later. Now all these divisions is said to be surrounded by the sea. Even till date we see the Indian subcontinent is surrounded by sea on all 3 sides and the mountains on the top. So all these divisions have been surrounded by the sea. Then there were many rivers also. Godavari, Bhimarati, Krishnaveli and so on. Rivers have been mentioned. Then 4 yugas came into Bharatavarsha. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. In Bharatavarsha, there were a lot of sages. India is a land of sages and temples, we say. So they observed a lot of penance, a lot of donations were given to Brahmanas, a lot of sacrifices, yajnas were being done. Lord Vishnu was worshipped in yajnas. Now here in Jambu Dvipa they have mentioned in the Vishnu Purana that Lord Vishnu was worshipped. Now that doesn't mean that other gods were not worshipped, but because Vishnu Purana glorifies Vishnu, mention of Vishnu is there more. So again, as I repeat, I had told you in the introductory sessions also, if one particular god is glorified in a Purana, that is just to show the dominance, or you can say the importance of that god, because he is a special character in a particular Purana. So therefore here, when we say that Lord Vishnu was worshipped in Yajnas, Vishnu Purana glorifies Vishnu, therefore it has been mentioned. It doesn't mean that other gods were not worshipped. Then Bharatavarsha also believed in chapter 3 part 2. I'll give you the references also so you can make a note of it. Chapter 3 part 2 Vishnu Purana, it is also mentioned that Bharatavarsha believes in life after death. That is why we do different karmas. It believes in karma yoga, different actions, even after a person dies. So it is said you do good rites, based on your good deeds you will get your next birth, or and so on. So because we believe in this, that current actions, whether they are good or bad, they will lead to the future consequences. So it was believed through that. Then it is said that all of us are blessed. Why so? Because again in chapter 3 part 2 of Vishnu Purana it is mentioned that through millions and millions of birth one soul passes, then finally it gets a chance to take birth in the land of gods, that is Bharatavarsha. So first point here itself, the other sins that we are committing, that is all secondary. We have made the greatest and greatest of punya to be born in this line of Bharatavarsha. Further, we are so blessed if we are on the right track, we are learning Puranas and so on. That is all secondary. But first itself, the greatest punya or the greatest merit is to be born in Bharatavarsha, the land of gods. Tam devanirmitam desham Hindustanam prachakshate. So again, this doesn't mean that other countries are bad, other countries are wrong. But the culture, India is known for its culture. Culture that we give outside. Today we feel very proud when our children go and study outside, or we ourselves go and settle outside, or even senior citizens feel very happy. No, my son stays outside, I'm going there. They don't know the true reality. 1 or 2 months they stay, remaining 8 months they staying here. The child does not even care for you, but they feel happy even in those 2-3 months they go and spend time. So again, nothing against any country or people, but there are so many things which are there in our own country. So many things we say, for modernized education I go out here. People from there are coming to our country to learn. The such things we forget. We feel very proud when we learn something which belongs to others. Only thing is, so now is it wrong here? That should we not visit other countries? Should we not study, go to other countries and study if we have good opportunities? Surely we must do that, but we must not forget our own roots, right? If we are studying something with regards to economics in the Harvard University, why not pick up Arthashastra and study of our university, of our own country, written by Chanakya? That we don't do. Or political science that we study, right? So like this, there are so many comparative studies that are being made. You have so many shastras that are being gifted by our own country, Rasayana Shastra, Bhautika Shastra, whatnot, you name it and we have it. Starting even from human anatomy. I was just talking about human anatomy in one of some other sessions or so. So very interesting ones, if I get a chance, though it's not related to the Puranas, if we have some time I will tell you. The birth of a human being, right from the time it gets into the womb till it is born. We feel very proud when we study medical science. But Garbhopanishad, we have this. Then in the Shiva Purana, when it comes in the Shiva Purana, I will tell you, correct. Shiva Purana or Vayu Purana, another name for it. In that, human anatomy has been mentioned in detail. You don't even have to refer to modern medical science. So much in detail it has been given. Once when Shiva Purana comes, I will show you those references. So the point that I am telling you is, in the Vishnu Purana itself, chapter 3, part 2, it is mentioned that soul passes through millions and millions of birth and finally it gets a chance to take birth in Bharatavarsha. So we must feel very proud that we are born in this country, we are staying in this country, we are all citizens of this country. Point number 1. But there our duty doesn't end. If you are born in this country, we have so much that has been gifted. You see all these Puranas, each and every detail you look, you don't have to refer to anything else at all. Only thing is we lack in knowledge, we don't know where what is there, we are not interested to open and see. Of course not all of us, we are doing our little bit to do it. So before we step out and look at people from outside also, or people from other countries, it is not wrong to do that, but not at the cost of forgetting our own culture, our own scriptures. Okay, so coming back, and it is said that even the gods envy those people who have taken a birth in Bharatavarsha. That is why it is seen that so many gods have taken incarnations in Bharatavarsha. We have never seen any god incarnating in America. We have never seen any god incarnating in some other place. Only in Bharatavarsha different incarnations have taken place. That is because it is said, and there are so many stories which reveal that. Now forget about the Vishnu avatars, Rama, Krishna and so on. They incarnated for a purpose. But in many cases, Vayu Bhagavan, or even along with Rama avatara, you see Sugriva was born as a Ramsha avatara of Lord Surya. Vali was born as a Ramsha avatara of Indra, or you can say the sons of Indra. Why were they born? They were born to assist God. That is one common reason we know. Second reason behind it is they wanted to stay in Bharatavarsha so that they can do good deeds, they get merit, and again they go back to heaven. So when the gods also envy those people who take birth in Bharatavarsha, people in Bharatavarsha, they do fruits without expecting anything in return. This has been mentioned in the Puranas. Now it is on us how much we take it. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Krishna has said this, chapter 3 Gita, Karma Yoga. Do actions without expecting any results in return. Practically it is not possible. All of us, we do actions only with some desire. Now if I am also telling you something about the Puranas, I expect all the 45 people to be listening to me. Someone is sleeping, or if all your videos are on, if I suppose, or if you are not listening something and so on, or if nobody comes, only I am sitting and blabbering. So even I have some expectations from all of you, right? Or even all of you also, when you are coming, 1 hour, the session should be fruitful. You must feel that towards the end of 1 hour I have learnt a lot, I have listened a lot, something new I have learned is related to the topic, I did not waste my time. These are your expectations. So we can never say, Ma phaleshu kadachana, I will do everything but I will not expect anything in return. Humanly it is impossible. Then why has it been mentioned in the Gita by Krishna? Why it is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana? Is there any reason for this? Reason is, for each and everything that we do, we must not expect a fruit in return. You will surely get the results of your actions, but it doesn't mean that today you put in efforts, today you sow the seeds, today itself the tree will grow. It doesn't happen. Maybe you will not be there to experience the fruits of the tree, maybe your grandchild will enjoy that. So results will surely be given, but be patient, be ready to wait. But usually we do the other way around, right? We put in 1%, but we want the results 100%, that too immediately. That will not happen. Krishna clearly tells Arjuna. And in the Vishnu Purana also it is mentioned that people living in Bharatavarsha don't do this at all. They put in their full efforts while doing anything without expecting their fruits in return. And they dedicate all their actions to Lord Vishnu and ultimately perform lot of worship. Again, because it is Vishnu Purana, lot of glorification is made to Lord Vishnu. Further, chapter 4, part 2, other dvipas. Now, our country is located in the Jambu Dvipa. Yesterday I told you 6 more dvipas that are there. Plaksha Dvipa. The Dvipa is an island. Now it is said that Plaksha Dvipa, it is spread over 2 lakh yojanas. So of each of these dvipas, if you see, there have been rulers, there have been sons, there were princes who have been living here. And here in the Plaksha Dvipa, Lord Vishnu is worshipped here as Soma. Soma, moon god. As Soma, moon god. So Vishnu is worshipped in Plaksha Dvipa as Soma. Next is Shalmala Dvipa. Now why this name Shalmala Dvipa? It is said that in this island there were a lot of silk cotton trees.
Ma'am, Lakshmi,
yes.
One small question.
Yeah.
This Lakshadweep, is it the same as what we have now, Lakshadweep?
there are references or there are even confusions that we say, but usually Lakshadweep, today's Lakshadweep that we have, it is a part of India, so we have to consider that to be a part of Jambudweepa only, but this is not exactly Lakshadweepa, it is Plakshadweepa, P. So therefore we cannot consider that to be a part of Plakshadweepa. Of course, but there, as you asked, the question was right. This question has been raised by many. So the answer is not 100%, but as far as references and as far as what I know, I am saying is Lakshadweep islands that we have today, Andaman, Nicobar, Lakshadweep, they are very much part of India. So we cannot consider them to be a part of some other continent. This island is Plakshadweepa. P, it starts with P. So it should not be.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Next is the Shalmala Dweepa. It is said that in this place there were a lot of silk cotton trees. Yes, silkworm trees, silk cotton trees. You also call it as Semul, S-E-M-U-L. So therefore this island was called as Shalmala Dweepa. And a sea of wine surrounds this island. Even this island also, Vayushman was the name of the ruler of this island. Vayushman. He too had many sons. And then again, like Jambudweepa and different divisions we saw, Bharatavarsha was divided. Like that, even the Shalmala Dweepa also had many divisions. Next is Kushadweepa. Kushadweepa here, the ruler of Kushadweepa was called Jyotishman. This island too has got 7 mountains, 7 rivers, and here Lord Vishnu is worshipped in the form of Janardana. And in this island, lot of kusha grass that we use for worship during puja, that kusha grass was found in abundance, hence the island came to be known as Kushadweepa. Sea of ghee surrounds this place. Next is Kraunchadweepa. Kraunchadweepa ruler was Dyutiman. I think I forgot to tell you the ruler of Plakshadweepa. Ruler was Meghatithi. Meghatithi was the ruler of Plakshadweepa. Kraunchadweepa, Dyutiman is the ruler. He too had many sons. And further, here Lord Vishnu is worshipped in the form of Rudra, and lot of yajnas, lot of sacrifices are being done in Kraunchadweepa. Shakadweepa, ruler was Bhavya, and here Lord Vishnu is worshipped in the form of Surya, Lord, sun god, and lot of Shakha trees are there. Now what exactly is it? Yes?
In Kushadweepa, Kraunchadweepa, what is how was Lord Vishnu worshipped?
Janardana. Kraunchadweepa is Rudra. Rudra in the form of Shiva.
Achha.
Shiva, Rudra. Yeah. Next is Shakadweepa. Shakadweepa here, Bhavya was the name of the ruler, and Lord Vishnu here is worshipped in the form of Surya, sun god, and a sea of milk it surrounds this island. Last, Pushkaradweepa is the largest among all the 7 islands. Ruler was Savana. He had 2 sons, and Mahavira and Dhataki. These were the names of Pushkaradweepa. And the island had 2 divisions because he had just 2 sons, Mahavira Khanda and Dhati Khanda. Mahavira and Dhataki were the 2 sons of Savana, who was the ruler of Pushkaradweepa. Further, this island was divided into 2 parts, Mahavira Khanda, Dhati Khanda. Then here it is said that Brahma lives here on a huge banyan tree, and a sea of sweet water surrounds. Jambudweepa, people, all of us living in India, we know that sea water is always salty. But here in Pushkaradweepa, the sea water is sweet. The sea is full of sweet water. So different islands have been mentioned. Further, chapter 5, part 2, description of the netherworld, something called hell, where Mahabali rules in. Now, it is now the earth's total height has been mentioned here. It is said to be 70,000 yojanas is the height of the entire earth. And inside...
One moment.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned what Shaka Dweepa is surrounded, right?
Shaka Dweepa, one second.
Surrounded
Milk.
by? Milk. Okay, Dhanyavad.
Yeah. So, I suggest this, just a suggestion for all of you. Though now I am telling you the details, now I am also referring to the original text and then only I am telling you. So of course we have so many other online resources and so on, but what I suggest is whenever you get time, maybe after these sessions, and one second, hold on. Whenever these sessions are over, or even now, eventually also, if you get a chance, ensure that you can buy the original books so that you can read the original versions by yourself. Now, in each and every class, if you see Vishnu Purana, we cannot cover all the 20,000 verses, right? So, Though I'm telling you the names, some important names and so on, but still, if you have to read everything in the original form, whenever possible, it's not needed that we buy all the 18 Puranas together. Whenever possible, at least one Purana if you buy, always try to read the original version as far as possible. Purva, yes, ask. What happened?
Why are you telling all about the islands? Why is the Purana telling about the islands?
Islands, Puranas have to talk about everything that is there. So Puranas are like an encyclopedia. So they have to cover even geography, right? Geography has got islands. So islands have to be mentioned. Okay? Yeah. Next. Nether. Yes.
I just had a suggestion. These spellings, no, like for example, you said the ruler of Pushkara was what's the name? I'm not.
Savana. Sorry, Savan. Savana.
So in such places, could you please put a message in that?
Acha, you want the name? Okay, I'll do that. Okay. Now, chapter 5 further talks about the nether worlds, that is hell. Now, we know about heaven, Brahmaloka, Satyaloka. Earth is one, but what is there inside the depth of the earth? There are nether worlds have a depth of 10,000 yojanas, it is mentioned, and names are different. Atala, Vitala, Nitala, Mahatala, Sutala, Patala. We know only one Patala. Patal is hell, right? But there are 7 different worlds that are there, and it is said that these worlds have beautiful palaces, and here lot of Danavas, Daityas, Yakshas, Nagas, people live here. So it's just as gods live in heaven, here we have different Yakshas, Danavas, Daityas, Rakshasas living in the nether worlds like a normal life, just like the gods live in heaven. So it is like there is no discrimination at all. Gods heaven, human beings earth, the Danavas and Daityas in Patala, and the resources, the facilities, the amenities are the same for everyone. So it is not that there has been any discrimination up and down. Even the gods also live in palaces, Rakshasas are also living in palaces. So that only the problem is the differences in their conduct or the behavior. That's it. Human beings also, we have got our own amenities, but of course our way of life is different. Now in the nether worlds, the form of Lord Vishnu is Sheshanaga. That is the form there. And here, as we know, Sheshanaga has got 1,000 hoods, 1,000 faces. His eyes are red, and there he stays like the Kailasa mountain. Just as we have the Kailasa mountain in earth, in the nether worlds, the Kailasa mountain is the Sheshanaga. And it is said that he is also known as Ananta here. Ananta, so Sankarshana, Ananta, and here is the place wherein we find that we have many stotras with regards to this, wherein especially in the Narayanyam, those who are familiar with the Narayanyam, I don't remember the Dashakam number now. Okay, I'll just find out, let you know the Dashakam number. Narayanyam written by text glorifying about Lord Krishna, written by Narayana Bhattatri, talks about a place. If I assume, I think it is Dashakam 7 or so roughly. I'll tell you the exact number. Wherein Sheshatri, Narayana Bhattatri mentions there that Sheshanaga waits in the hell, and he feels so sad, he gets so angry that all these devotees and people, out of all the people who die, say for example if 10 people are dying, out of that hardly 1 or 2 are coming to Vaikuntha, rest 8 are going to hell. So Sheshanaga, he waits in the nether world saying that I am waiting for people to come so that I can take them to Vaikuntha with me to the realm of Lord Vishnu, but these human beings are so ignorant that they want to do all kinds of evil deeds and finally go to hell and get punishments for all their evil deeds. So Sheshanaga here, therefore he is in a very fierce form, because he is waiting when he can take devotees like him. He wants co-devotees with him. He is one of the greatest devotees of Lord Vishnu. He is the one on whom Lord Vishnu himself sleeps. So he wants even other people to come and stay in Vaikuntha. So he is waiting for devotees so that based on their good deeds, I can take them to Vaikuntha. But ultimately he has to wait in the nether worlds only. So because people doing all kinds of sins are coming there and they have to face all kinds of punishment. So Ananta here, or Sheshanaga, Sankarshana, he is in a very fierce form. And yet there, though we don't have the direct reference in Vishnu Purana, because the topic has come, I am telling, in Narayanyam, Narayana Bhattatri mentions there that Sheshanaga is in a very fierce form, because he wants devotees like us to come to Vaikuntha, and nobody is coming, he gets restless and angry. Now further, chapter 6 part 2, description of different hells that are there. Now for different punishments, different hells have been mentioned. Now this for some people, I'm just giving you a disclaimer. It can be a bit you can say bit difficult, or not everyone will like we always like to listen to good things, right? And then especially when we listen to topics like hell, sins and so on, we start remembering our own deeds. Not everyone might be comfortable. You might find it a bit disturbing also, but this is all the ultimate truth. Whatever is mentioned in the Vishnu Purana, I'm telling you the same thing, but whatever it is, we have to know. Now there are many hells that are there. I'll just name a few. Raurava, Sukara, Rodha, Sandansha, Papa, Daruna and so on. Like this there are about, if you see, 27 to 28 different hells have been mentioned. These are all main hells. In that you have still subcategories, and all these are under the domain of Yamaraja, god of death. And now depending on the punishments, depending on the sins that we commit, we are thrown into different hells. For example, those who give a false witness, like even when someone asks you, did you see, and if we make some false claims that yes I have seen, even without seeing, they are thrown into the Raurava hell. Those who kill unborn babies or cows, Gohatya, or the fetus is killed in the cow, they fall into the Rodha hell, Rodha. Those who drink wine, kill Brahmana, steal gold, they fall into Sukara hell, Sukar, Sukara hell. Those who kill a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, they fall in the Tal hell, Taal, Tal hell. Then those who have a relationship with one's own daughter-in-law, they fall into the Mahajwal jal, Mahajwal, Mahajwal hell. Then those who criticize the Vedas, the teachers and so on, they fall into the Lavana hell, Lavan. Like this, there are many hells and punishments that have been mentioned. Then there is also punishment for those who eat before serving one's own parents, gods and guests. That's why in the Upanishads also we have Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Athithi Devo Bhava. Without serving these people, those who eat or those who do some good things for our own benefit, without concentrating, without focusing on these four people, they fall into the Lalabhaksha hell, Lalabaksh, Lalabhaksha hell. So like this, there are many punishments. Now, note one thing, that out of all the punishments that I told you, few of us we will always be committing, right? Like what in the case of small children also. Now obviously, if there is a family of 4, we have children and parents, obviously the parent or the mother will tell, no, you eat the food first, then I will eat. So in this case, has the child committed a sin? No. And even though this is considered to be a sin, there is prayashchittam for that. So that is why India or our culture believes in the concept of prayashchittam. Doing papa is fine, but there is a prayashchittam for that which has to be done. What is the prayashchittam? Remembrance of the Lord. That's why we chant so many prayers and so on. When simple concept, I'll tell you one thing. Many people we chant different stotras, we do different kinds of pujas, you visit different temples and so on. We feel that we do all this because we want to worship God. We feel that by worshipping God, He is going to become happy, He is going to bless me. But in fact, that is all the prayashchitta. It is a form of giving back, and it is a form of asking for forgiveness. That's why you see at the end of every stotras, we have something called the Kshama Prarthana. Yadaksharapada prashtam matra hinam tu yad bhavet tatsarvam kshamyatam deva narayana namostute. Unknowingly, knowingly, whatever I have done, please forgive me. So all the stotras, all the worship, all the temple visits that we do, it is actually a prayashchittam for all the sins that we commit. Obviously, that doesn't mean that I do a sin and then I'll go to a temple on purpose, then the sins will go. No. Unknowingly, there are so many things. Like for example, I told you this. The child now, at least in the age of, there can be no age. But a small child obviously will eat food before its parents, right? Parents itself, they themselves will tell that no, you let the child have food, then we will eat. So does the child incur sin then? To some extent, the child has incurred sin because the sin has been mentioned here. But it is not in the hands of the child also. Therefore, different prayashchittam like remembrance of Lord's name and so on, that is prayashchittam. If the child does, it is free from all kinds of sins. So it is not that anything we do a crime and immediately are thrown into the hell. No. Only in extreme cases we face such kind of punishments. Therefore, it is said that remember the names of the Lord, continue standing on the names of the Lord will free us from all kinds of sins. And further, it is said that those who recite and remember Lord Vishnu's name, they will never fall into any kind of hell because all their sins have already been destroyed. Further, now hell is done. Next, description of the 7 heavens, celestial
Ma'am?
realms. Yes.
Who wrote the Puranas?
Puranas compiled by Vyasa. Nobody has written them. It's a compilation done by Vyasa. Okay.
No, ma'am, but who came to know them? Definitely they wouldn't have seen the Brahma or the Brahma Purana.
Definitely, I didn't get you. What you said?
Definitely they wouldn't have really seen the Brahma or the Brahma Purana.
Now see, the Brahma Purana, it is a compilation of information that has been written by our sages, or you can say Maitreya and Parashara. In the case of Vishnu Purana, if you see, Maitreya and Parashara, it is a conversation between them, right? Which Suta has written it. So from Maitreya and Parashara, it has been from Parashara, Maitreya, next it has passed on to Suta. From Suta, like this, every sage kept on passing it. So that's how those people who spend time around Lord Vishnu, or those sages who spend time in the nearby areas, that is in the heaven, hells and so on, they knew a lot of this information. So they had written all this, and rather than writing, they had passed through oral tradition, because India, we believed in oral tradition, Bharatvarsha. So all this was passed through oral tradition, and then there was a point wherein, now in those times children used to study in Gurukula, not like us today wherein we go to schools and study. So maybe at the age of 50, 60 or so only we go and maybe see what are the 18 Puranas, right? It was not then. So right from the time when the child went to the Gurukula, it used to study the Puranas. So it knew all this about 1 crore verses or so, everything was known. But then Vyasa came in and he felt that all this more than 1 crore verses are there. For sages who are studying in the Gurukula, or for some people it is fine. But if all this Puranic knowledge has to reach to the common man, then I must do the proper work of compilation. That's when he reduced it to 4 lakh verses. So all this information that has been there, if you ask that who has written it, we cannot give credit to only one person. We know only one person, that is Vyasa, who is responsible for compiling the Purana. So it is basically knowledge which has been taken from different areas, right? Some have been given by gods themselves, some have been told by sages. Everything has been collected together and structured in a proper way by Vyasa. Okay? Yeah. Now next, chapter number 7 talks about heaven. Hell we have seen, now next is heaven. Always we also do the same thing, right? If we have 10 things to do in one day, we'll do the difficult things first, then we'll keep the nice things later to do, right? Or child, if you give it a chocolate or so, if it does not like something, it will eat that first and then it will keep the chocolate towards the end. No, I'll eat it nicely, I want to relish it. Similarly, now we know about all the papa that has been done. Everyone is in the mode of tension now. So next, now cool yourself down, because it talks about heaven. Now this, I have not made the story. That is the reason why hell has been mentioned first and then heaven. Because Vyasa, he knew human mentality. People always want to know what is bad. Okay, what are the sins that I commit? That's why we approach so many astrologers, right? What will happen tomorrow? We are so curious to know. Good things someone tells us, that is fine. But if someone tells us something bad, no, you have done so and so sin, you are going to get some punishment for that, we can never forget that. Whereas someone comes and praises us saying, no, you did a good thing, for that you received, we will remember that, we'll be proud of that too. But after a few years or so, we might forget. But the things which are told to us, this is something you did wrong, or for this you will get a punishment, or on so and so this day something will happen to you, such things we'll never forget, right? So therefore, first everything has been told about hell, next is about heaven. Parashara says that at a height of 1 lakh yojanas above the earth, now with dimensions it has been given. Therefore, here, are the Puranas in real or are the Puranas false? We cannot make such conclusions, because if something has been given with numerical values, it has to be true. But of course, nobody has gone and see this, so therefore we cannot make any claims. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we can regard them as false also. Okay. So further we see that at a height of 1 lakh yojanas above the earth, it is mentioned here that we have the sphere of the sun. The sun is there, and 1 lakh yojanas above the sun is the moon, and 1 lakh yojanas above that is the stars. So earth, sun, moon, stars. And at a height of 2000 yojanas ahead, you have Mercury, 2 lakh, sorry, not 2000, 2 lakh, 2 lakh, 2 lakh yojanas. If you just keep going up, you have different planets starting from Mercury, Venus, Mars, and so on. So everything is at a height of 2 lakh, 2 lakh yojanas. And finally, after crossing over all this, is Maharloka, 1 crore yojanas above Dhruva. Dhruva has been given the place of a pole star. We can see the pole star even today. Even from your windows, or you go to the terrace and see, you can see the pole star, the shining star in the sky. 1 crore yojanas above the Dhruva Loka is the Maharloka. Maharloka is a type of heaven where sages live, like Bhrigu and so on. 2 crore yojanas above that is Janaloka, where Brahma's sons, Sanat Kumaras and so on live. Then 8 lakh yojanas above that is Tapaloka, where deities like Vairaja live. Now what are Vairaja? You can consider those gods which are not very important gods or popular gods like Vishnu, Shiva and so on, but few gods like we have Nidra Devi, or some gods now, or even Vriksha Devata we have. So like these gods for each and every action, or tree also we worship as a god. So such gods rule and live in this Janaloka. 12 crore yojanas above Tapaloka. Tapaloka is Satyaloka, which is known as Brahmaloka, where only immortal beings live there like gods. So if you see, first is Maharloka, then Janaloka, Tapaloka and Satyaloka. Satyaloka is also called as Brahmaloka. So these are different heavens that have been mentioned. Then chapter 8 talks about the sun, stars and different constellations. So this is pure geography. At the time of Uttarayana, that is just in the month of January, we have the sun enters the sign of Capricorn. And that's when the sun starts moving northwards. Then when it reaches the equator, which signs are there, which zodiac signs are there, all that has been mentioned in detail. Then the period of the time between day and night, that has been mentioned. Then the Ganges also has been mentioned here, little bit reference to the Ganges has been mentioned. So that exactly has been mentioned full in detail. You can see in chapter 8 part 2 Vishnu Purana, order of the sun, the stars and the constellation, that has been mentioned here. Further, that is based on different zodiac signs, how the movement of the stars, sun changes, that has been mentioned here. Further, chapter 9, you have 12 names of the sun. Depending on every year or every month, on all the 12 months of the year, the sun changes its portion, right? Like for example, in the month of Chaitra, the sun rides his chariot as Dhata. I'll just tell you for 1 month. Dhata, during that period, sages Pulastya, Nagavasuki, Yaksha. Now from each category, you have a few people who stay in the chariot of sun as his assistants. For example, among the sages, you have Pulastya. Among the snakes, we have Vasuki. Among the Yakshas, we have Rathamirita. Rathmirith. Rathamirita. From the demons, it is Heti. Heti. From the Gandharvas, it is Tumbaru. All these are present as assistants in the chariot of the sun god in the month of Chaitra. In the month of Vaishaka, it is different. So like this, for all the 12 months, it has been mentioned here. Further, in chapter 10, we have something called as Surya Shakti and Vaishnavi Shakti. Now what is this? Now, Surya Shakti and Vaishnavi Shakti, for this Maitreya, he asks a question to Parashara. He says that, what is the purpose of sun's existence? He asks a question that, why is the sun even there? What is the purpose of that? Like if God, Lord Vishnu is there, Lord Brahma is there and so on, why do we even need the sun then? Lord Vishnu has got all the powers, right? Then what is the need of creating gods, or even for the existence of gods like the sun god, moon god and so on? So for this, it is mentioned that it is the same Vishnu who takes form in different ways. For this, a very simple explanation I'll give you, which Parashara tells in a very philosophical way, but how we can interpret it, I'll tell you. Now, all of us, say for example, now if I have to introduce myself, I'll say my name is so and so, I am a girl, I'm born in the year so and so, my age is so and so on. But now, this is my identity. But till date, if I say, no, I am the daughter of so and so, till now my existence is only that. Tomorrow, maybe I get into some other relationship, I'll say, no, I am the wife of so and so. Third relationship comes in, I am the mother of so and so. Fourth relationship comes in, I am the grandmother of so and so. Fifth relationship comes in, I am the aunt of so and so. I am the uncle, I'm the teacher of so and so, I'm the friend of so and so, and so on. Person is the same, but depending on the situation, my relationships changes, importance changes, duties changes. So similarly, when Maitreya asks here that what was the need of Surya and so on, or why all these gods have been created, moon god, sun god, the different Varuna, Indra and so on, they are all considered to be forms of Vishnu, but depending on the situation, only difference is, like I give you in my example, person is the same. I am the same person, only my relationships and duties same. But here Vishnu, he has created different people also and given them different duties. If not everything can be done by only one person, this doesn't mean that Vishnu cannot do that. But because the world has to know about other things, we have to know what is the sun, we have to know what is the moon. Everywhere if we say only Vishnu, if we consider, is of no use. So to create a proper system wherein we have sun, which is the largest star, then we have different planets, then we have different moon, we have different moons of planets, and also the moon, our own moon, that is the Chandra. So like this, to give an introduction for the creation to manifest. Now only one man, one woman is also enough, right? There is no need for creation, but the world to sustain, we have to have people around. So therefore, even in gods also, it's not that only one god has to be there. Though all gods are one, all the powers are one, creation has to manifest even there. So that was the reason why these gods like Surya, the planets and so on had been created. Chapter 11, part 2, Vishnu Purana talks about different planets. Description of the 9 planets has been given here. Further, chapter 12 talks about Bharata, King Bharata. Now Maitreya here asks Parashara that all this while you were telling me that our country is named after Bharata, Bharatavarsha and so on. So can you just tell me a few stories with regards to Bharata? He was born in a very good land, he always worshipped the Lord. Then why he did not get moksha, and what did he do in his next birth? Parashara, he tells a story for Bharata. Now this king Bharata, he used to always meditate on Lord Vishnu, and he stayed in different places. He used to recite the names of the Lord and do all kinds of good things. Now one day he was taking a bath in the river, and there a doe came, D-O-E, doe, a female deer. It arrived there. She was in the final stage of pregnancy. Now in the forest was nearby, so a lion was roaring there, and that roar, it frightened that doe, frightened that female deer so much that it jumped across the river to save her life. And that exertion, when she jumped across the river, prematurely the young one of the deer, it fell down, and it fell in the river, and died. Looking at this, the female deer could not bear the pain that her young one had died in the way, and she also jumped into the river and died. But now this Bharata who was here, he saw that the young one, though the deer has died, young one of this deer has not yet died. He saw very closely that it is trying to save its life, little life was remaining. So what this Bharata did was, he brought it to his ashrama, and then he began to take care of the young deer. So and now what happened is that slowly and steadily he tried to forget all his activities that he was showing, his worship towards Lord Vishnu. So what he used to do it before, say for example 12 hours he used to do worship. Now slowly it reduced to 2 hours, because 2 hours he was taking care of the fawn like his own child. Even if 1 minute the fawn used to go, your fawn is the young one of the deer, Fawn. It went about here and there, he used to get worried, or he used to always keep the fawn in his lap, foster him like we do for a small child. So he went to such an extent that he left his routine worship. He stopped eating, he stopped sleeping, even his daily activities also he forgot. This was the amount of attachment that he developed towards his young one, and therefore in this birth he could not attain moksha at all. But then what he did was not wrong. To develop affection towards someone is not wrong, but that caused a delay in his moksha. So Maitreya's question that why Bharata did not, in spite of being such a great king, that the entire Bharatavarsha has been named after him, in spite of that, why he did not get moksha, why he did not attain Vaikuntha in the same birth, was because of over-attachments. So learning for all of us through the story of Bharata is, attachment is not wrong, but over-attachment at the cost of something else or someone else will surely lead us to problems. So therefore, but Bharata, because of his good deeds, he remembered that he has been a devotee of Lord Vishnu. He realized all that, and in his next birth he was born as a Brahmana and he attained moksha. Now he was also called as Jada Bharata. In his next birth, this story we also get reference in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now further we see that there are few more kings that have been mentioned, like Ribu, R-I-B-H-U, Ribu, and Nidaga, N-I-D-A-A-G-H. Now these were all the kings. Now their lineage has not been mentioned in the Puranas directly, but different stories of Bharata. This Bharata was born as Jada Bharata in his next birth, and there he was a Brahmana, he approached different sages to gain knowledge, and that is where that sage tells him the story of this Ribu and Nidaga. Now what is that story? Let us have a look. Now Ribu was a disciple, Ribu was a sage and his disciple was Nidaga. Now once it's so said that this Ribu had such yogic qualities that he did not even experience hunger or thirst. Like he never felt that he was hungry, or he never felt that he was thirsty. So once he told this Nidaga, so the thing is, now that doesn't mean that he did not eat food, but basically he ate food just to sustain his life, not because he was feeling hungry, or like all of us do. If you like something, we ask more, right? No, this is tasty, I like this, I want something more. Or we don't like something, so no, I don't want this, or whatever we have little we take. Things that we don't like, we don't eat it at all. Maybe if you're eating something for the first time, we take a bit of it, right? If you like, you take, otherwise you leave it. Whereas in the case of Ribu, this sage, when I say that he did not feel thirsty or hungry, that is because he tried to eat only what was needed. He did not spend his time, okay, I'm feeling very hungry, or to satisfy his taste buds, he did not eat. So then it is said that Ribu, he told Nidaga, his disciple, that today you are my disciple, but tomorrow now you will also become a great guru, you will also get many disciples. So how should you test a person? Like there should be some qualities, like how you should know this person is my right disciple, or this person has got good qualities, good virtues. How will you know that? For that, you should give them a testing, that if that person does not experience hunger or thirst, then that person is a true disciple. Again, when I say hunger or thirst, doesn't mean that we don't eat, but with whatever we have, whatever the person gets. Say for example, now all these sages, if you see, every day they could not get a good food in our plates, right? Maybe they eat some roots, fruits, milk and so on, and they would sustain. So people who do not spend their time, like I eat to live or I live to eat, we have to decide, right? We must belong to the first category. I live to eat. I eat to live. I live to eat, this is wrong. Otherwise, there are so many, we call ourselves proudly foodies, that is another thing. But still, if we are fully focused only on filling our stomachs and just eating, drinking and relishing, we waste our life fully. So therefore, Ribu in this tale, in this story of Ribu and Nidaga, here a very great lesson of life is conveyed. So here let me tell you one thing. Here through the example of hunger and thirst, it doesn't mean that it is just used in a literal sense. It is for each and everything that is there. Over attachment again towards anything leads to problems. Now we need not go in a philosophical, religious or spiritual way. Simple example, we eat something. Say for example, I had a pizza. I like the pizza very much. I have eaten one whole pizza. I order one more pizza. I eat that too. I'm over full now, but still I feel like eating one more piece. I end up eating the third piece, and then I have to face stomach upset problems. So overeating, eating one pizza is fine. You have satisfied your taste buds, you have satisfied yourself. Still you feel like eating one more. There itself my stomach is over full. I have started feeling the pangs of stomach upset, but still there also I don't stop. I go and eat a third piece. That is where the problem arises. So we need not go into the religious way at all. Even logically speaking also, if you overeat, it's going to lead to problems. In the case of thirst, or the case of people having those different addictions or drinking habits, only once, you see, especially youngsters or people who are new to such addictions, so many of you also would have come across, just once you drink and see, it's so nice, they tell, or once you smoke and see, you're a gentleman and so on, right? People tell us that once we don't know that ultimately it keeps us pulling towards itself. It's so addictive that lifelong we keep drinking, we never know. Lifelong we keep smoking, we never know when we stop. So that is why here, through the tales of Ribu and Nidaga, Ribu here tells his disciple Nidaga that find out people, only those people are true disciples, wherein they have this quality of control, they know where to stop. But here again, it doesn't mean that we don't do anything. Like for example, like hunger and thirst, nobody can say, no, I have never eaten anything all my life, I never drink even a drop of water. We cannot say this. All of us, we have to eat, whether you're God, whether you're a man, whether you're a sage, animal, anything. Eating and drinking and sleeping, this is needed for everyone. But the extent to which we do it, that is in our hands, that we have to decide. So control over ourselves is very, very important. So when Nidaga asks his guru, how should I find the right disciple, this is explanation that he gives. So the preachings, so part 2 Vishnu Purana ends with the preachings of Ribu and Nidaga to find the right disciple. Okay, next we start with part 3. Okay, till here is everything clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Now let me tell you one thing. Now with regards to Puranas, sometimes at times it will be an overload of information. For example, there are different names which we have to remember, different stories, and you see most of the stories or most of the information will be new to us. So we have not known that earlier. So though it might be an overload of information because there are a lot of names and so on, seems to be interesting, but I request all of you, you just listen to the session, you feel very happy. 1 hour you know everything, but at 10 o'clock someone asks you, you will not know. Yeah, I was listening something, they were telling a bit of things, now I don't remember. That should not be the case. So that is the reason why the recordings are there. So whenever you get time, please listen to the recording also. Frequently if you listen, then the things are registered. The thing I'm telling is, just once we listen, even I myself cannot remember, right? So it is the same for all of you. Only if I read something 10 times, then I can tell you something once. That too with so many names and so on, I note it down and things like that. We cannot remember it humanly. So therefore, ensure that it should not happen, okay, once I listen to something and then it just goes away. Once you listen, tomorrow someone asks, okay, can you tell me something about Vishnu Purana? What did you do for 1 hour? We should not say that, no, I'm just listening to something from Vishnu Purana, but now I don't know to tell. You know, some people have this habit. No, I have listened everything, but if you ask me, I don't know to tell. Then what is the use of listening? This should not be there. So if someone asks, and not only for the sake of asking, for our own selves, I have studied something, so I should know about it. We need not be experts. Now you need not remember the names of everything we sit and by heart. All that is not needed. But at least, say for example, at 10 o'clock if I ask all of you, okay, what was the gist of today's session? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask. But still, if I ask you, few people should tell, right? No, so and so we saw and so on. So this is very, very important. This will not come just by listening once, because the Puranas have got a lot of mention that is there. It's an overload of information. Therefore, ensure that you listen to the recordings also. Okay, we start with part 3. Now part 3, chapter 1 talks about different manvantaras that are there. Maitreya, your questions, he tells that I want to know about different manvantaras and the manus who rule. Then for this Parashara answers that first Manu was the son of Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu. Now his name itself was Swayambhuva Manu or Swayambhuva Manu. Nobody gave him birth biologically. He was Brahma's Manasaputra, he was created by Brahma. So therefore, he was the first Manu. And then after that, 5 more Manus have occurred. And all these Manus, the current Manu is the Vaivaswata Manu, who is the son of the sun god. And this Manvantara is the 7th. That's why Vaivaswata Manvantare Ashtavimshatitame Kaliyuge Pratame Bhate Jambudvipe Bharatavarshe. Has anyone heard this?
No.
Yes, it's the Sankalpa.
Sankalpa. During the Sankalpa, we are still in the Vaivaswata Manvantara only. So only 5 Manvantaras, 5 Manus have been taken place. The 5th Manu, the present Manu, is the son of Surya Vaivaswata Manvantare. This Manvantara is the 7th Manvantara. Then here in each of the Manvantaras, the description has been given, who was a ruler and so on. Now for this you can do one thing. Next time whenever you attend a function or so, be it a marriage or anything, you can listen to the Sankalpa or a puja, how the priest chants. And if you look at the priest chanting, he will mention there, Vaivaswata Manvantare. Now, Maitreya says that, till now, okay, this is Vaivaswata Manvantara, I agree. What about the future Manvantaras? Can you tell me about that? So here, Parashara also talks about the future Manvantaras, wherein Savarani, Savaranike, we say that is different. Savarani, he will rule as Manu. He will have different categories of gods. Vedavyasa will be among the Saptarishis. That is why you see, someone tells what are the Saptarishis. You will have 2 or 3 different references for Saptarishis. So the list of 7 rishis might be different in different references. Reason being, depending on different manus, even the Saptarishis also change. So for each of the Saptarishis, each of the Manvantaras, we have different manus, we have different gods, we have different sages, and we have different Saptarishis. So make a note of this. Currently we have the Vaivaswata Manvantara that is going on, which is the 7th one. Now further to this, at the end of 14 Manvantaras it is said, currently ours is 7, we have 7 more Manvantaras to go. A Kalpa will end. A Kalpa comprises of 1000 yugas that will end. In the Satya Yuga, Lord Vishnu, he talks about Kapilavatara. Treta Yuga, he destroys the evildoers in the form of Rama. In Dwapara Yuga, he divides the Vedas into 4 divisions. Krishnatvaipayana. Dwapara Yuga also we have the incarnation of Lord Krishna, and at the end of Kali Yuga, which is going to take place, Lord takes an incarnation in the form of Kali, and he will inspire the corrupt people or people on the wrong path to come into the religious path, come into the right path again. So thus Lord Vishnu, he maintains order in all the 4 yugas, and he ensures that the creation, sustenance and the destruction of the universe is done properly. Now in chapter 3, part 3, we have some description of Vedavyasa. Now, what does Vedavyasa do? Maitreya here questions that how did Vedavyasa divide the 4 Vedas? Divide the Vedas into 4 parts. For this, Parashara answers that during each Dwapara Yuga, Lord Vishnu, he incarnates as Vedavyasa, and he divides the Vedas for the benefit of human beings. So during every Dwapara Yuga, so now you see now we are currently in the Kali Yuga. After this Kali Yuga, again the Satya Yuga is going to take place, right? So Dwapara Yuga, though we have the Krishna Avatara, in every Dwapara Yuga it is said that Vedavyasa incarnates to divide the Vedas. Now currently we have just the first 7th Manvantara going on. Maybe in the next, we will not remember, we don't remember our past deeds or so. Then the next Manvantara, again next Dwapara Yuga, again Vedavyasa will come in. So there it is said that different Vyasas have been present till date, and the Vedas have been divided 28 times. Division of Vedas has been done. That doesn't mean that the Vedas have changed, but depending on the situation or depending on the things around, the division has changed. I'll give you a simple example for this. As times change, even we also change, right? Let's consider the payments that we do. Few years back, we used to go to the bank, we used to send money orders, right? You go to the post office or so, you send money orders. Then we do some check transfers and all through banks. Today also we do. Then we do some net banking, that is done, that was being done. Then we do card swiping. Then now ultimately everything is UPI, we do through our phones, right? So the point that I'm saying is, this doesn't mean that we have lost our money or we don't have a bank account. Bank account is always there. For anything that you do, for any way of payment, whether you have to withdraw cash, whether you have to make a payment through check, or whether you do something online, whether you use UPI or anything, bank account is very much needed. So that does not change. Similarly here also, Vedas will always remain, but the way their division, that is change, that keeps on changing depending on the time period. I'm just giving you examples so that you can relate it. So Vedavyasa has done. Till date it is said that in the Vishnu Purana, chapter 3, part 3, that Vedavyasa has divided Vedas 28 times. And it is said that during the first Dwapara Yuga, Brahma himself had divided the Vedas. Second Dwapara Yuga, Vedavyasa, Prajapati was Vedavyasa. Third Dwapara Yuga, Shukracharya was Vedavyasa. During the fourth Dwapara Yuga, Brihaspati was Vedavyasa. And now, sixth, the current Vedavyasa, it is said to be Indra. Our 7th Vedavyasa is said to be Indra. So as I told you, Vedavyasa is, or this Vyasa is the title that is being given to the person who has divided the Vedas, not the one, it's not a proper noun, not the name of one person, it is just different descriptions. People who do the division or the compilation of Vedas, that person is called as Vedavyasa. So with this, today time is up. We will stop here. We'll continue in the next session.